This series of brain tests for Tree basically do a timeline from November 17th through November 24th, and they illustrate functional recovery from PTSD. Our first test had very severe issues with memory, reasoning, and actually quite a few other things. So we're going to quickly roll down here. The main pattern to point out is that by reoxygenating and going through the process, we reactivated very significant parts of the brain, particularly around memory. The three reds in the memory meant that his memory sections were pretty damaged, probably by head injuries. Composite memory went from 40 to higher. Verbal memory from very low to very high. Psychomotor speed mildly reduced, increased, and restored. Reaction time was all good all the way through. I think what happens here is that his various functions relating to complex attention, cognitive flexibility took a dip because when we restored blood flow, I'll call it adaptive patterns that are neuroplastic patterns were able to be switched off, so that at day number 3 we saw a decrease in function, but when the original tissue that was supposed to do the function came back online, we saw a restoration of function. Same thing happened for cognitive flexibility, initial drop with a restored function. Processing speed, basically reoxygenating that part of his brain caused it to bump up by the end of the 3rd day, and then that improvement held for the next week. Same pattern for executive function, probably neuroplastic adaptations that had occurred over the past several years were able to be switched off, resulting in a short-term dip, and finally a restoration of function. Social acuity basically started out very low and finished at very high. Reasoning by the end of the week was probably still in a recovery pattern. Working memory obviously increased slightly. Sustained attention increased slightly. Simple attention remained the same. Motor speed remained good at the same. The main thing to point out would be that the endpoint at 7 days after we started, Tree reported a significant improvement in mood and basically normalization and elimination of all of his PTSD symptoms. I suggest that the parts of the brain that were injured that resulted in this collection of low scores during the first 3 days probably contributed to his absence of the ability to heal naturally.